Let me ask you to picture the first 10 minutes of your day. The alarm goes off, you shuffle into the kitchen on autopilot, and you reach for the one thing that makes the morning feel survivable: coffee. And then the ritual begins. A pour of creamer here, a scoop of sugar there, maybe a pump of vanilla syrup, because, let's be honest, the idea of bitter black coffee before sunrise does not appeal to most people. You take that first sip, the warmth spreads through your chest, and the day suddenly feels manageable. But here is the part nobody mentions while you are standing at the counter. Coffee is not what is holding you back. In its raw form, coffee is one of the most metabolically active drinks you can put in your body, and the research behind that is genuinely remarkable. The real issue is what you are stirring into it, and just as importantly, what you are leaving out. Depending on how you build that cup, you are either flipping your body into fat-burning mode for hours, or you are quietly switching it off before you have even checked your phone. So today we are going through 6 evidence-backed ways to upgrade your morning coffee. Not fads. Not something a wellness account invented last week. This is grounded in peer-reviewed work on metabolism, insulin signaling, and thermogenesis. And once you understand it, your coffee will never look the same. Before the upgrades, give me 60 seconds of real physiology because everything afterward depends on it. Your body sheds stored fat through a process called lipolysis, where fat is broken down into free fatty acids your cells can burn for energy. Caffeine, the headline compound in coffee, drives this directly. It blocks adenosine receptors in your brain, which is why fatigue lifts, but it also fires up your sympathetic nervous system. When that system activates, it sends a signal to your fat cells to start releasing their contents into the bloodstream. Research in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition has reported that caffeine can raise fat oxidation, the actual burning of fat for fuel, by roughly 10% in people with obesity and closer to 29% in leaner individuals. Those are meaningful figures. But here is where most people accidentally undo it. Fat burning and insulin work against each other. When insulin rises, fat burning stalls. That is not a malfunction. It is the design. Insulin's role is to tell your body to store and use incoming energy. So when it is elevated, your body reaches for glucose instead of stored fat. Add anything to your coffee that nudges insulin upward, and you have effectively tapped the brakes the moment your body started to accelerate. Every one of these 6 upgrades is chosen to do the opposite. Support the fat-burning signals coffee already triggers without raising insulin, and in some cases push thermogenesis and appetite control even further. Upgrade 1 is Ceylon cinnamon. If cinnamon is already in your cup, good instinct, but there is a detail almost everyone overlooks. Most grocery stores sell 2 kinds. Cassia cinnamon is the cheap, dark reddish powder in the large jar, and Ceylon cinnamon, often labeled true cinnamon, is lighter in color with a softer, almost citrus-edged aroma. The difference matters because cassia is high in a compound called coumarin, which in regular or large amounts can stress the liver. Ceylon contains far less of it, which makes it the version you actually want for daily use. As for why it works, picture your cells with a lock, and insulin as the key. In someone with poor insulin sensitivity, that lock is stiff, the key struggles, and the body has to produce extra keys to compensate. Ceylon cinnamon essentially oils that lock. Cells respond more readily, your body needs less insulin, and fat burning stays switched on longer. One study found that around half a teaspoon of cinnamon daily meaningfully lowered fasting glucose and improved insulin markers over an 8-week period. To use it, stir 1/4 to half a teaspoon into your grounds before brewing or directly into the finished cup. Cinnamon's compounds dissolve better alongside coffee's natural oils, so the pairing is a natural fit. Upgrade 2 is grass-fed butter, or ghee. Stay with me because butter in coffee sounds like something your doctor would scold you for, and the nuance is exactly where the science lives. A small amount of grass-fed butter, or ghee, which is clarified butter with the milk solids removed, is one of the most effective ways to stretch out your fat-burning window, especially if you fast in the morning or eat breakfast late. The reason is simple. When you eat fat without carbohydrates, your body does not release insulin. Fat is insulin neutral, so the fat-burning state you naturally drift into overnight keeps running uninterrupted, even with coffee in hand. Grass-fed butter is particularly useful because of its fatty acid profile. It carries conjugated linoleic acid, or CLA, a naturally occurring fat studied for its effects on body composition. And it is nothing like the industrial trans fats in processed food. It also contains butyrate, a short-chain fatty acid that nourishes the cells lining your gut, calms inflammation, and is linked to steadier blood sugar. The key word is restraint. You are not melting half a stick into your mug. 1 teaspoon to 1 tablespoon delivers the benefit without the caloric overload. Upgrade 3 is MCT oil. It has been a wellness buzzword for years, often without much explanation, so here is the actual mechanism. MCT stands for medium-chain triglycerides, a type of fat found naturally in coconut and palm kernel oil, with MCT oil being a concentrated extract of the chains that matter most. Unlike the long-chain fats in most foods, medium-chain triglycerides skip the slow digestive process and travel almost directly from your gut to your liver, where they are rapidly turned into ketones, an efficient alternative fuel. MCT oil also blunts appetite by prompting the release of satiety hormones like peptide YY and leptin, which tell your brain you are full. Studies have found people eat noticeably fewer calories at later meals without consciously trying. Paired with caffeine, the effect compounds. Caffeine mobilizes the stored fat, while the MCTs drive ketone production, applying pressure on body fat from 2 directions. Start with 1 teaspoon, since jumping straight to a tablespoon can cause stomach upset, and build up over a week or 2. It blends best with a frother, and the powdered form tends to be gentler. Just remember it is calorie-dense, around 100 calories per tablespoon, so it works best when your morning is not also stacked with a heavy, carb-loaded breakfast. Quick pause before the next 3. If this is landing for you and you want more evidence-based breakdowns of metabolism and fat loss, the kind that hold up in real life rather than trending for a week, subscribe and turn on the bell so the weekly videos reach you. No hype here, just the science. Now, back to it, and the next one tends to surprise people most. Upgrade 4 is collagen peptides, and it deserves far more attention in the fat loss conversation. Collagen is the most abundant protein in your body, forming the scaffolding of your skin, joints, gut lining, and connective tissue. After your mid-30s, your natural collagen production slows, and that decline brings slower recovery, achiered joints, thinner skin, and, relevant here, a gradual loss of lean muscle. Muscle is metabolically expensive tissue, burning calories even at rest, far more than fat does. Losing it as you age is a major reason behind the frustrating "I am eating the same, but gaining weight" pattern so common in your 30s and 40s. Hydrolyzed collagen peptides, broken into smaller chains for absorption, are rich in glycine and proline, amino acids central to muscle repair. Collagen is not a complete protein, so it should not be your only source. But, as a coffee addition aimed at satiety and muscle support, it is excellent. 1 or 2 scoops of unflavored peptides dissolve cleanly in hot coffee, add no taste or texture change, contribute 0 sugar, and deliver roughly 10 to 18 grams of protein. Upgrade 5 is cardamom. This is not a new discovery. It has been used for thousands of years in Ayurvedic medicine across the Middle East and in Scandinavian coffee traditions. What we have now that those traditions lacked is the molecular explanation. Cardamom belongs to the ginger family and is rich in volatile oils, including compounds like 1,8-cineol and limonene, plus a range of antioxidant phenolics. Added to coffee, it acts as a gentle natural diuretic, helping your kidneys clear excess water and sodium, which reduces the bloating and water retention often mistaken for fat. More interestingly, cardamom has shown anti-obesity effects through its influence on inflammatory pathways. Chronic low-grade inflammation is now understood as a key driver of visceral fat, the deep belly fat wrapped around your organs. To use it, grind 3 or 4 pods into your grounds, or simply add a 1/4 teaspoon of pre-ground cardamom. Centuries of practice already pointed here. Now the mechanism explains why. Upgrade 6 is raw cacao powder, and this one is my favorite. Raw cacao, not sweetened cocoa mix and not regular cocoa powder, is one of the most nutrient-dense foods on Earth. The distinction matters. Standard cocoa is roasted at high heat, which degrades many of its active compounds, while raw cacao is processed at low temperatures to preserve its polyphenols and flavonoids. Raw cacao contains theobromine, a relative of caffeine with a milder, longer-lasting effect. Alongside coffee's caffeine, theobromine smooths the energy curve and softens the familiar afternoon crash. Cacao is also rich in magnesium, a mineral involved in over 300 enzymatic reactions, including glucose metabolism and insulin signaling. A large share of adults in developed countries run low on magnesium, and that shortfall directly impairs insulin sensitivity. Stir 1 or 2 teaspoons into your cup for a mocha-like flavor with no sugar. One note, raw cacao carries a small amount of caffeine, roughly 20 milligrams per tablespoon, so factor that in if you are sensitive. Now, the honest other half. Any real conversation about coffee and fat loss has to cover what to stop doing, because for many people, these mistakes erase every benefit above. The first is flavored creamers, which are typically loaded with refined sugar, hydrogenated oils, and artificial flavoring. A 2-tablespoon serving can carry 5 to 6 grams of sugar, and since most people use far more than that across 2 cups, you could easily be drinking 25 to 40 grams of sugar before 9 in the morning. That spikes blood glucose, triggers insulin, and shuts down fat burning for hours. Artificial sweeteners are worth a mention too. They do not spike insulin the way sugar does, but several studies suggest sweeteners like sucralose and aspartame can alter gut bacteria in ways that impair glucose handling over time. Better options are a small amount of raw honey used sparingly, pure monk fruit, or simply letting good coffee and warm cinnamon carry the flavor. Let me paint the full picture. It is 6:45, and Sarah, 38, has spent 2 frustrating years watching stubborn belly fat refuse to move despite regular exercise. She brews her usual medium roast, but this time she adds a 1/4 teaspoon each of Ceylon cinnamon and cardamom to the grounds, then blends the finished cup with a teaspoon of ghee, a teaspoon of MCT oil, a scoop of collagen, and a teaspoon of raw cacao. Inside her body, the caffeine is releasing stored fatty acids. The cinnamon is holding insulin steady so those fats actually burn. The MCT oil is nudging her liver toward ketone production. The ghee is extending the fat-burning window. The collagen is quietly curbing her appetite. And the cardamom is dialing down the inflammation feeding her visceral fat. She did not change her lunch or dinner. She changed her coffee. Within 5 weeks, she had lost 7 pounds, mostly around her midsection, and her afternoon energy slumps had faded. A few honest closing notes. None of this replaces a fundamentally sound diet. These upgrades amplify your body's fat-burning capacity, but they cannot outrun a diet built on ultra-processed food and sugar. Individual responses vary, and anyone with type 2 diabetes or insulin resistance should speak with a healthcare provider before changing their routine. Fat loss is rarely one dramatic move. It is the accumulation of small, evidence-based decisions repeated consistently, choices that work with your physiology instead of against it. You drink coffee every single day, which means every morning is a chance to either help your metabolism or fight it. If this brought you value, subscribe if you have not already, and share it with someone who feels stuck. Then drop a comment and tell me which of these 6 you are trying first, because I read every one. And if you want to go deeper, there is a follow-up video on combining these coffee strategies with intermittent fasting, and what that does to growth hormone and fat oxidation, that almost nobody explains properly. Watch that next, take care of yourself, and enjoy your coffee.